Hey, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. You're in Austin, right?
I am in Austin, correct?
Okay, so what can I help you with today?
All right. I don't know if you have a usual structure for these calls, but or if you want me to just explain my situation and then we can just kind of spitball some ideas or some recommendations you may have.
Yeah, so for like the first session, it's kind of like calibrating me to your situation.
Hmm.
And so we can be a little less regimented today. I'm going to start off, explain your situation. I'll ask you some questions where I need clarification. And then if we're going to do this on like an iterative basis, then the best thing to do is to make sure that you have your sales tracker up to date. That way, when we're talking together, we're actually looking at numbers and we'll come up with like, okay, here's an idea for what you can do to improve your business. You go implement that idea, you come back, we have another conversation, we look at the numbers. Did that actually have the impact that we thought it would?
Yes, and when you say sales tracker, are you referring to the Ivy one or just a regular spreadsheet?
I recommend you use the IB one.
Okay. I can get that set up for next time. Right now, I just have a spreadsheet.
Yeah, that's fine.
It might also be okay, so I can share. Let's see if I can share the entire screen, I guess. Might be helpful.
Mhm.
All right. So my issues with the business are mostly inconsistency. I'm not full time, and I think that's we're gonna get to why I think that's the primary issue I'm having. So my focus is split, and I have an employee who does pretty much all the work, and his working hours are inconsistent as well. So I think that both of those cause a lot of issues for my business. Here's kind of an overview from March to August. And I mean, as you can see, I've got like this is net profit, by the way. In July, I mean, made almost no money. And then here in August, I did a little bit better. I think I don't have this figure filled out, but it's probably around 1,000. But yeah, there's just way too many inconsistencies I'm having. Like, let's say I have a good month and I don't stock up on enough couches for the next month. So next month gets hit. Say my guy gets sick and can't work a week or two, my sales fall off by 25%. So there's just way too many inconsistencies I'm facing right now.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean that's an overview.
So these gross profit numbers, is that gross profit or gross revenue? You got to use a sales tracker. This is unfortunately the spreadsheet's a little bit all over the place. And it's kind of like your place where you're dumping all of your stuff for the business, right?
Hmm.
But there, like you want your numbers to just be very clean. So you go in and you're like, okay, here's my top line revenue, here are my expenses, here's my cost of goods, and like you should just be able to log in, those numbers jump out at you.
Yeah. But this is mostly clean though. This is not nothing unorganized. I mean, if we're just looking at this section here,
Yeah. What's your average profit per flip?
per flip is about gross profit is about 500.
Hmm. What was it
Um,
in May and what was it in March?
it would be this divided by that. So this one's about 500,
Mhm.
and then but the average is 500. Some months it's 400, some months it's 600.
Right. This is what I mean. You know, like you can figure it out. Don't get me wrong. You can figure it out. It's in there, but it's better when it's just there.
Okay.
Because the easier your numbers are to understand, the more that you'll actually reference them to make decisions with your business. Okay, anyhow, so let's dig in. Is this gross profit or gross revenue?
So what's the difference between gross profit and gross revenue?
Gross revenue is like your total sales. Gross profit is sales minus cost of goods.
This is
So
gross profit then.
where's your gross sales?
Gross sales would be I don't have a formula for that, but it would just be
Everything in that, yeah, time frame.
this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just another good example, right? Like what's your gross profit margin? You could figure it out, but it's like it's messy.
Okay.
Okay. So let's just look at you have these organized by date purchased instead of date sold, right?
Yeah. A purchase, yeah.
And then when you look at your stats, is it referencing inventory based on when it was purchased or when it was sold?
When it was sold.
Got it. So you actually can't reconcile that. You can't tell me your gross profit margin because that ATX sheet is looking at it based on when it's purchased, whereas your stats are looking at it based on when it's sold.
What do you mean?
If I ask you to compute your gross margin, you're unable to because your gross revenue numbers are based on when the items are purchased, at least the way it's organized in that spreadsheet. And then your gross sales, your gross profit numbers are based on when it's sold. So you could do it, like for example, go to ATX, and then you'd have to resort the spreadsheet by the sale date.
Which
For A to Z. Yeah, that works. And then
You want the
for
other way.
every,
Okay.
and then for everything in like sold in August, you'd go and highlight their final sale price,
So sell price from all of August, right? It would be this. So
13,000
13. I think it's
in August. Okay. Wait, shit. So according to this, right, your gross sales were $13,114. And go back to stats. And then your gross profit, which is subtracting out your cost of goods, is $12,108. So that means you only spent $1,000 on couches.
well, that can't be right. Purchase price. No, that's not right. I mean, this is 600,000.
Mhm.
It's probably around 2,000.
So now there's a discrepancy between what we think your total sales numbers are and what your gross profit numbers are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but it's a simple change that will start helping provide clarity in your business, because right now things are happening and our job is to figure out what are the one or two things that you need to work on today to help improve the business. But if the numbers aren't clear, it's hard to pinpoint that. And look, you probably have some ideas, but those ideas are still vague, right? The ideas are like,
Okay.
it feels inconsistent, it feels unorganized. So how do you start making that more consistent? How do you start becoming more organized? It really starts with just having some clarity in your financials. So it's something that seems basic, but is quite important.
No, I get you. I'll switch to the sales tracker. I mean, and especially if you're going to be looking at it, it'll be better for both of us.
Yeah.
I am also
Okay.
switching to a different way to store all this stuff anyways, but okay, that's besides the point.
Let's go back to stats.
All right.
So we're gonna redo this. Give me at least try to give me like four months of data. It looks like your ATX sheet is like the accurate sheet because that's your raw data, so to speak.
Correct.
And then your stats are like things that are computed. So
Yes.
what you're gonna do is copy over the transaction data from ATX into the Ivy Flip Sales Tracker, and then we'll do the computation for you.
Okay.
But while we're here, what do you think? I mean, looking at, okay, so like August, what do you think your gross sales were?
What do I think they were? I don't know.
Okay. So, well, go back to ATX.
Gross sales would be this, right?
Yeah. So if the transaction data is right, that would be the gross sales. So then go to your purchase price.
Purchase
highlight
price
that.
is $2,000.
Okay. So subtract one from the other. So your gross profit was like 11.
Yes. So that number is correct then.
Well, it's off by
No,
like $1,000.
that's off a little bit, yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, 13 minus 2, so around 11.
Okay. Next, let's go to stats. So we'll just look at like the past month of data. I mean, why do you think things were slow in like July and June? I mean, compared to March and April, they're better. It's still better. It's still double what you were doing. It's not necessarily slow, wouldn't you say?
Which one? You're talking about July?
Because like starting May, you started doing 5 figures, right? Like basically you're in
Yeah,
this
but
$10,000 a month range. And then that is a substantial improvement from anything you had done previously. It's basically double where you're at in March and April. But you had said like June and July felt slow.
it's
Trying
just
to
I
understand.
mean, it's just a million factors. That's why honestly I really wanted to go high level because I think this business isn't I think this business isn't a good business, to be honest, because there's so many factors. For example, vehicle maintenance. Here in July, I had to buy a whole new steam cleaner and generator, which is about $1,000. And one of my storage units flooded, so I mean that was minus 500. There's just every month there's probably an average of things that go wrong that probably averages to around $1,000. But that's one thing I wanted to say. So I think in this month, I think a lot of stuff went wrong. So the average, I mean, so that month's probably like $2,000 just spent on unnecessary things.
What then? Like the
The
software and supplies?
oh, this one also we were testing out ads, so that was more expensive as well. And then the steam cleaner, and then so steam cleaner, ads, and then a storage unit flooding. So those are three things that we got hit with that month specifically. Somehow this month was bigger, even though my driver got injured and didn't work a week. So I don't that part I don't even understand. Hey, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What do you think the cap is for this business? Have you seen someone do this business model in the way that's 80% passive or so, where they're not doing all the work?
No, not really.
Not really, right? Okay.
That is not the flipping business model.
Unfortunately, no, right?
Oh, and like that's not the business model for most businesses. You know, like think about like if you were to open a furniture store on your own, open a restaurant, open an HVAC company, landscaping company, and you're trying to bootstrap. Like so you don't have a large capital amount of capital to invest up front and like it's your first time building a business. The expectation that you're going to remove yourself from the business and have other people doing all the work for you is kind of farcical. It's just not reality, right? Like I think if you really want to remove yourself from this business, you need to build a furniture business that's probably doing something like $3 to $4 million in revenue. And that's around the time that maybe you could look at removing yourself.
Well, it's not. I'm not trying to say remove myself fully because, like I told you, I work full time, so I
Mhm.
still spend maybe like 10 hours a week doing this. But that's with the inconsistencies, right? So I want to get to the point where I'm, maybe I can make even this number every single month while working 10 hours a week, for example.
Right.
That's my goal. I want to get to the maximum profit while minimizing time spent, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I understand the ambition. I just don't think it's the reality of like it's not what the flipping business model is. Because what like this situation you've created for yourself is probably over engineered. Because look, if you wanted to make $700 in net profit, you could have just flipped two couches.
Yeah,
And
I
that
know.
would,
That's my whole point.
yeah, right.
This
Right.
is this is
So,
before I had an employee, these
mhm,
values where I was
mhm,
just I just had someone clean them and then I would do a third party delivery service. And like um it was more simpler than when I this is when I got my employee, right? So I'm doing all the management and trying to organize stuff and I'm making $700 after selling 20 couches where, that could
yeah,
have been one couch. So you're right.
right. I mean, and look, that's the reality of this business if you're not doing the work.
Hmm.
The whole reason you can make money flipping couches is because you're doing the work. As soon as you start hiring out, assuming you don't have sufficient scale, your margins will get eroded. So I know other people that do this part time, and they're insanely profitable. You know, like in fact, I know people in Texas, multiple people in Texas, where they just do this part time. Maybe it's 20 hours a week. You know, but they're making like 8 grand profit every month.
Yeah.
You know, and at like an 80% net profit margin. So for someone who's only like, let's say you're only flipping 15 couches a month, my expectation is that your net profit margin is around 80%. Let's say
Okay.
even
So
10 to
net profit
15.
margin
Your
is
net profit margin should be like after everything,
should be what? Say it again.
should be like 80%.
And that number is net profit, the percentage of net profit to gross sales.
It's how much you're making after you pay out everything. So
Okay.
you're let's say you sold $10,000 worth of couches, then you had 30% in expenses, cost of goods, and then you took home 7,000 in profit, net profit,
Okay.
70% net profit margin, and then like 80% on the high end, right? Those numbers would be typical for someone who's operating like efficiently and doing like 10, 15 flips a month. And you can do 10, 15 flips a month part-time.
Yeah, that's correct.
So I think that's where you need to probably slam the brakes on whatever you're doing and just get back to that.
Slam the brakes on what?
What you're doing right now, the
Uh,
employee and the because look like sorry, I'm joking. If you're doing it full time, let's say the cap on flips per month is somewhere like 30 on what you can do on your own before you just get too busy. And then if you're doing it part time, let's say the cap is like 10, 15, right? And up until that point, you should be pretty profitable, like in that 70 to 80% net profit margin. And especially the people that are doing it part time, they tend to have really low expenses because they also not tend to not have high storage costs.
yes.
So like a lot of the people that are doing it part time, I see them, they're doing it in their garage, they're still using their house. You know, maybe they have one storage unit, but because they're only flipping like 10, 15 couches a month, they just don't need that much space. You know, obviously that's a big cost for most people is storage. And it is a big cost for you as well. So, I mean, you could probably, if you're just flipping 10, 15 couches a month, you could probably scale your storage costs back down to like $300, $400 a month. You'd save like
Hmm.
$1,000 a month right there.
Can we explore the other option, which is a scaled option? Because I know
Yeah,
we've okay, go ahead.
yeah. So I'm trying to get you there. What I'm trying to explain is that you can't scale doing what you're doing. So what you need to do is get the business to a point where it's insanely profitable, but it's more reliant on your labor, right? And like that means yes, you're gonna have to do the pickups. You're gonna have to do the maybe you hire someone to help you with the cleaning. If you don't like doing the cleaning, or you can outsource some aspects of the labor. You shouldn't have someone that has like a consistent expectation of salary from you at this point. Your business is too small. You need to be doing most of the work. But you can get to a point where you're making $7,000 a month in profit, right? And then you have a job. And so this is a blessing and a curse. The blessing is that, well, the curse is even if you wanted to put more time into the business, you can't because you literally don't have the time unless you were to quit your job. But the blessing is that you don't rely on the income from couch flipping. So all of the money that you make, you can keep in the business. And so what you need to do is make the business profitable, get it to the point where you're putting $5,000 a month into the business bank account, build up liquidity over time, and then leapfrog into a different business model.
But I have the capital to jump directly into that business model though.
Okay, that's good then.
That's why I've been
Um,
trying to do it from the start because I know I have the full-time job and I can't do every pickup. So a lot of the good couches, with Ivy Flip and whatnot, they go away in an hour. So that's
mhm,
why that's primarily why I needed someone available at all times to just, drop everything you're doing and go pick up
mhm.
this couch.
Okay, so what I would do is you're not going to scale this business model with like used couches, buying and selling them on Facebook Marketplace, especially without your involvement at high degree. What you could do is get into wholesale, and that's what I mean, like have liquidity available to scale up. So do
Hmm.
you have like, I don't know, 20 grand?
Yeah, I can. I mean, if everything else is in place, I'm willing to do that, you know, drop 20 grand on whatever I need to drop 20 grand on, but I just want to make sure everything is in place before I do that.
So that's the only way that like the flipping business model, once again, is highly predicated on owner labor. And even when you leapfrog ahead and you change the business model, now you're getting into wholesale, there's still going to be a good chunk of this that is predicated on owner labor. But because you're getting things wholesale, you can be more efficient. Because like right now, like I imagine you're doing the sourcing, you're communicating with the customer, you're trying to communicate with your
No,
employee. No?
I have the VA who does pretty much all that as well.
But it's not working right without your intervention. And that's where the inconsistency is coming from.
Somewhat. There's
So,
just so many small things I feel like would get me to the right point. For example, if I don't even know how to explain it. Like if I worked full time at my job, but I was located in a warehouse, I know I would sell um more couches, if that makes sense, because I know I have more availability for people to come look at couches. That's one thing. If I had a bigger space and more couches laid out, I feel like I would sell more. If I had another cleaner, I feel like I would sell more. Some of my couches take 2, 3 weeks to clean since like we'll buy them now in September and in September 20th, they're finally cleaned and ready to sell. So I think those are some of the inefficiencies I'm talking about as well. Like it's just so many smaller things.
so the problem, like my problem with your situation right now is like, I don't understand what you're doing.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like the VA is doing the sourcing and then you have this like, and so you're trying to you're like trying to manage these people
Correct.
and have them operate the business for you.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's
pretty
got to change.
much.
I think that's got to change in the short term. I think what you need to do is run the business yourself, lay down some really concrete processes, and have a firm understanding of this is how we operate. And then and only then can you start hiring in people to replace yourself. And it probably involves a little bit higher level of scale with like wholesale and some advertising. And it's good if you already have the capital. That means you can jump ahead. You don't have to like wait to save up and be able to make that move. Because look, this business model is not super complicated. Like it's a pretty well-known quantity at this point. Like you see it in the IB industry, right? Like dozens and dozens of couch flippers picking up this business model, saving up money, taking that next step, moving into a bigger space, buying truckloads, doing the advertising. It's working in different markets, Salt Lake City, Atlanta, Charlotte, New York City, right? It's like the business model is well understood.
Is that the correct way though? Not the correct way, but is that a good way to scale the business? Because I know some people complained about that as well.
I think it's the only way to scale the business.
Okay.
How else are you going to do it? You're definitely not going to scale it one couch at a time. That is
Okay.
only a wedge. And you might say like, okay, I'm happy making 30 flips a month. Okay, then don't scale it, right? And like some people are happy with that. But if you do want to scale it, by necessity, you need to get into other sources of inventory. You need to move into a bigger space. You need to figure out a different customer acquisition strategy. These are the basics. There's no other way to do it. Because, once again, we're not building a new AI engine, right? Like we're selling couches.
Yes.
And eventually selling furniture. So there's like, yeah. So the good news here, right, is like we can fix this. The bad news is you're gonna need to pump the brakes on your current setup. This is not it's not working, and you're gonna end up trying to nail it. It's like whack-a-mole. To your point, you said this, right? It's like whack-a-mole. Every month it's a different problem. Can't get it consistent. It's because the approach is wrong. And I can say that pretty confidently, having been in the space 3 years, thousands, but like hundreds of flippers that I've worked with looking at this exact situation. And people think they're unique and different. And at the end of the day, it's all the same.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I don't want to. I mean, I know not that I don't want to. I physically can't pump the brakes. I guess it just wouldn't make sense, because then how am I going to get to the scaled point if I can jump to the scaled point with capital? Shouldn't I just go there immediately?
Yeah. And so that's what we need to start talking about, right? Like what do we need to do in the short term so that you can change the business model, so that you can start removing yourself from getting to that. What do we need to do in the short term so you can get to that longer term vision a little bit better? Hey, I got to run. I have another meeting.
Okay.
But
all right.
Update your sales tracker and then book another call with me and let's redo this. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much for your help.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Anthony. Bye.
Bye.